When two professionals are fighting in a cage for 15 to 25 minutes, serious injuries are inevitable. But that's what we're here for. I'm Walker from Full Mount MMA, and in today's video, we're going to be looking at 10 more fighters who got seriously hurt in MMA. If you enjoy the video, be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon to be notified when we post the next one. Also, be sure to check out our last installments of fighters who got seriously hurt and tell us anyone you think we've missed out on. Liam McGeary. Back in April of 2019, Liam McGeary faced off against Phil Davis at Bellator 220. After losing to Davis back in 2016 at Bellator 163, it was his chance for revenge. But sadly, it wouldn't play out the way he wanted. In the second round of the fight, he wound up breaking his jaw. He went on to post this to his Instagram, further explaining what happened. The jaw cracked in the second round and the tooth went in the third. As soon as the arm came around and touched my jaw, that was enough for me, guys. That hurt like a motherfucker. You know I can take some shit too. It, man, I was too worried about the takedowns in the first, I was hesitant. Shit, you took me down in the third and I got right back the up. I've stepped up my game, man, wrestlers don't bother me anymore. Just the bloody dentist. Recently, he had an interview with MMA Unhinged where he spoke more about the injury.
Sort of with my knee, my hand, this is definitely the worst one, the longest one, the most testing one. Like, when you can't eat for 6 months and you're watching everybody eating steak and you're the one who's cooking it, it's kind of it tests your patience, and then yeah, it was just long. It was just never ending. Like every time I see the doctor, he'd always give me some bad news.
Yusuke Yachi. Back in December of 2018, Yusuke Yachi went up against Johnny Case at Rizin 14. This was Johnny Case's debut with Rizin, and he made it a memorable one. After 2 rounds, the ringside doctors stopped the fight due to how swollen and damaged Yachi's eye got. It got to the point where it looked like he couldn't even open it, and it was still dripping blood. Later, Johnny Case would go on to claim that Yachi was using PEDs during their fight, responding to MMA Fighting's Instagram post. He went on to say, "But trust me, I was the one in the ring with the dude. He was definitely on the go-go juice." Rose Namajunas. So back in July this year, we got the absolutely massive UFC 251 card with 3 title bouts. During that event, Rose Namajunas faced off against Jessica Andrade at strawweight. This fight was an absolute war that went all the way to a split decision, which Rose would wind up winning. The damage Rose took was hard to miss, with her nose getting broken and her left eye was nearly swollen shut in the post-fight interview. In an interview with Ariel Helwani, Rose talked about needing a surgery after the fight.
That hurts. That hurts. Turns out my nose is broken, but everything else is good. They were worried about my eye, but everything's fine with my eye. Just my nose hurts. If it wasn't for my deviated septum, I think it would be something that I could live with. But yeah, the deviated septum feels really uncomfortable.
Leon Mainhart. Back in March of 2016, Boyd Allen went up against Leon Mainhart. Mainhart was riding an impressive 6-fight winning streak heading into the bout, while Allen was coming off a TKO loss. When the two finally met in the octagon, they gave it everything they had, with the fight even getting paused to fix up Mainhart's broken nose that was gushing blood before resuming the fight. Inevitably, Mainhart would lose the split decision, but continuing to fight with a nose broken like that is respectable. Brian Jones Jr. Back in 2012, Brian Jones Jr. faced off against Justin Lee Fowler at Cage Quest 1. We have a lot of leg injuries in these lists, but this is definitely one of the hardest to watch. Describing what happened won't do it justice, so we just have to play the clip. Tim Sylvia. Back in June of 2004, Frank Mir faced off against Tim Sylvia at UFC 48. Mir got an armbar locked in the very first round, winning the fight, but sadly Sylvia's arm got broken in the process. Sylvia's arm has been acting up thanks to the surgery recently, with screws starting to come back out.
Might need to do something about this here pretty soon. The screws are obviously working their way out. It's been like this for a while. The surgeon contacted Dana White and the UFC, and they said, tough shit, Tim Sylvia doesn't fight for the UFC anymore. Basically told me to f off. So I guess this is what I gotta deal with. I'm talking to my surgeon and I'm gonna see if we can get him taken out. I know it's gonna cost well over 10 grand for anesthesia and all that bullshit, but I don't want to lose my arm, so I don't know what I'm gonna do. We'll figure it out, I guess.
Sylvia's fiance set up a GoFundMe to help pay for the surgery. The surgery's already happened, but we'll leave a link in the description to help out nevertheless. Janena Suarez. This injury is reminiscent of Joanna Jędrzejczyk's hematoma from the second installment of this series. Back in 2018, Janena Suarez had her first professional MMA bout against Vanessa Santos at Favela Combat 30. After the second round, the doctor called the fight off due to a massive hematoma on Janena's eye. Luckily, there was nothing permanent, but this was another hematoma that was hard to look at. Herbert Burns. Back in June of this year, Herbert Burns faced off against Evan Dunham. Burns managed to get a first-round submission, but in the process, he got this nasty toe injury.
My foot's really bleeding, my feet. And I think when I was trying to push him against the cage, my left foot went through the cage and caused a huge cut here. It's bleeding, but I'll be fine.
UFC Dr. Greg Sue echoed that this was the cause in a tweet he posted saying UFC safety tip. The rule is don't insert anything in the fence. Why? Because it will tear your stuff up. This rarely happens though. Anderson Silva. Back in December of 2013, Anderson Silva faced off against Chris Weidman at UFC 168. This was a rematch of their fight earlier that year, which Weidman won via KO in the second round. Weidman would wind up winning their rematch as well, but due to a TKO, as when Silva threw a kick that was checked early in the second round, his leg bent where there definitely is not a joint.
The force of the impact snapped Silva's left leg seemingly in half, breaking both the tibia and fibula, and it required the surgical implantation of a titanium rod to repair it.
When I broke my leg, I say, okay, now everything calm down. The more scared for me is to go back to home and look my family face to face.
After going through a ton of rehabilitation, he was finally able to return to fighting. But since he's in his mid-40s now, his career is likely coming to an end. Alan Vasquez. This entry had to take number 1. There was really no other option. When Alan Vasquez faced off against Axel Cazares at Shamrock FC 285 back in 2017, they put on quite a show. With under a minute and a half left in the first round, we witnessed the amazing sight of a double knockout. Vasquez would be given the victory, but at the cost of a serious nose injury. And that's just about gonna wrap it up for our list of 10 times fighters got seriously hurt in MMA. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit the like button down below. There is a lot of content we can't fit into these videos, so be sure to let us know anything that you'd like to see in a future one. Here's our favorite comments from the last video. Dylan Harkness said, binging all of these videos has taught me one thing. I'm never gonna throw leg kicks. You know said, Bisping is a legend. Much respect for him. Elry said, this other guy has a pretty hetero accent. And lastly, VT said, I needed to watch this video to get me vomiting up the food intake and keeping my weight at check during a pandemic quarantine. That's gonna wrap it up for the comments. If you want your comment to be featured in the next video, be sure to comment on this one. Special thanks to Shatterpoint Studio for editing the video, and this was another one of the scripts written by me. Our links will be down in the description below. If you're wanting to watch more of our lists, be sure to check out either of these two videos and subscribe to see when we post the next one. See ya guys.